Okay, quick disclaimer before we get started. The Blockmates podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. The information and opinions expressed on the podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Blockmates or its affiliates. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Blockmates and its affiliates are not liable for any losses or damages incurred as a result of the reliance on the information or opinions expressed on this podcast. Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back. We were actually talking about a completely different related topic, but now we're going to make it a part of the stream. So I asked the question, we were looking at a wallet, we were analyzing what this person was doing. Apparently this wallet bought Dubs, and we want to know what Dubs is. Oh, by the way, hello, Dan. Nice to see you.
Yeah, what's going on? How are we?
Yeah, we're good.
So Dubs is up 45%. Whoever managed to snipe that 115 is sitting very pretty. So let's have a little look what it's doing. 21, but let's have a look first.
I remember the pre-sale for this like months and months and months ago.
2,000 holders is a very good place to be.
Done really well.
21.8, but I'd say 40% of it's locked. Either in LP or I can imagine this is a vesting contract. So take off 40% of that. So 12, 13, 14 mil-ish. So what it is, it's only just came on my radar, but we have a little look. I think there's a few more I want to bring up as well, but there's a lot of like gambling gaming crossover happening at the minute. There's a lot of talk of like GameFi bottom being in, and it could actually be gambling could be a Trojan horse for gaming. So what's Dubs, the bridge between traditional gaming and the nascent blockchain gaming industry. Don't like that it has its token on the 4% sell tax. Can't really work out what it does, but let's have a look. What's the Dubs is the merging of traditional and Web3 gaming, a bridge and accelerator to blockchain gaming. Dubs brings blockchain gaming wagering to AAA titles such as Call of Duty, FIFA, Fortnite, and more. So it looks like it's a way for people to gamble on esports on some of the top games out there. So
did you manage to get a bag of this, Grant?
Yeah, this morning.
Okay.
Around here.
Okay, good call. I see Unibot had quite a... So what was interesting is just to kind of get into the swing of today's stream. Yesterday, I obviously saw quite a big sell-off with news on the markets, like post markets closing, and it was really weird. Like you don't often... Well, I haven't seen it a lot. And then you landed up posting on Twitter saying, it's interesting how, like, on the upside, we don't see the benefit in crypto. And then as soon as we see a little bit of downside on the S&P, like, we just nuke like bosses. And it happened yesterday, but it didn't happen during the whole S&P move. It only happened after market close. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know what happened yesterday. It was the strangest thing, man.
But this has been up only since fucking March.
Yeah.
So you got to expect some little pullback. And everything was going around about Michael Berry. Michael Berry has called 72 of the last 3 bear markets. He's like,
oh my God.
He's I think he's got like 50 million in put options that are like extremely over levered to like 1.5 billion. So when people say he's got 1.5 billion position open, yeah, technically he has, but he's only paid 50 million in premium. So, and like how many times? The problem is when all you've got is a hammer, like everything you see is a nail, and he's just trying to pull off like his once in a generation trade again, or once in a fucking multi-generation trade. But this just looks like it needs a little cool off. It's fine.
Yeah, it does need a cool off, and I agree with you. It was quite interesting. Dan called it yesterday. He was like, "Bro, I'm just not liking this. Dude, Bitcoin, S&P, they're gonna nuke. It's coming." And then literally like 4 hours later, the whole thing goes up in flames.
Yeah, and I made a tweet like about a week or two ago, where the Dixie, and I already leave it up now, where the Dixie was starting to look strong, and it was like on that point of reversal, and now like maybe one more pullback on the Dixie to then make the dollar great again. And it's really pissing me off. Like, everybody wants the Dixie to go to Goblin Town to make the dollar weak. I'm like, bro, all of my Bitcoin bags and all of my crypto bags are in US dollars or trading against it. I don't want a weak US dollar because the great British pound is fucking strong against the dollar, which means my dollars are peanuts against the pound, which really pisses me off. But if you look at the broader market, if you look at the news that is coming out now, like Michael Burry, he's shorting the market. Politicians actively shorting the market. Yeah, we don't know their strike prices. We don't know the date ranges, but there's a lot of like news that is saying that a lot of people are going short on the market. And what you're seeing in like the big media, like, oh, soft landing, Fed pivot, soft landing, bro. We have been soft landing for the last 5 or 6 months. That's what this up only has been. To say we're starting to soft land now just doesn't make sense because we're peaking in the charts. Like, have an epic pullback now before we go again. And I'm going to bring this up in the newsletter as well with the Bitcoin. August for Bitcoin is such a blasé month. It like might pump 7%, I think, in one of the years, and then it was like a -4 or 5 in another year. Like, dude, we are so extended at the moment, in my opinion, and my opinion is probably pretty useless. But, bro, yeah,
nice rant. I agree with you, dude. Your logic's completely sound. It's like, and it's down to the S&P. It's like the S&P has been the indicator for the last 18 months. Don't see why it stops being the indicator now, and we're just following the cue from what's happening in TradeFi.
And here we go. Look at Asia.
What's the best chart to represent that, Dan?
Probably like the HSI, so the Hang Seng Index, which is Hong Kong.
Yeah, so that was China orders funds and banks not to sell stocks. Fucking great, eh? But yeah, I don't know. You might go missing if you do. I wouldn't like my name on that sheet for that sell purchase, the sell order.
We make no comments. We make no comments on the China market.
Did you get the memo? No, fortunately, we weren't on the list. Phew, let's sell.
You'll get Jack mad.
Jeez, man. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a funky one, but yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think for me, a lot of alts and Bitcoin are kind of at the bottom of a range. Ideally, we got Dixie rejection here, but it does look like it's peaking above a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad position to have a little nibble. But again, I mean, Unibot is just completely up only, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous.
It kind of feels like Pepe, where Pepe was just up only. You expect a dip, you expect a pullback, but it just never ever came, did it?
Yeah.
But Pepe was probably like slightly different market conditions. If broader macro starts to like absolutely nuke, and okay, if broader macro starts to nuke, probably like shitcoins like this will have a big swing pullback as people puke their bags. The one thing I do want to bring up, we have Jackson Hole 2.0 next week. I think it's on the 24th. And if you remember what happened last year, in the space of 8 minutes, so Jay Powell spoke for only 8 minutes, the shortest, like one of the shortest speeches he'd done. He nuked in 8 minutes over 1.25 trillion from the stock market. And that's coming up next week. And everybody's going short in the market. Now, I'm not saying that they're going short into Jackson Hole, but
You are quite bearish. I mean, that's basically what's going on here. And you seem to have the evidence to support why you are being bearish. So let's see how it plays out. You called yesterday. Like I said at the start of this whole conversation, you called yesterday and it played out. And it doesn't look like it's slowing down. I mean, Bitcoin's looking super weak at the moment. It's sitting at 28,500. I think 28 is kind of like that point of like doom and gloom, from what I understand the technical analysts are saying. But it seems to be like tethering on that 28.5 at the moment. But it's looking weaker. That chart looks absolutely, that's garbage. That is proper garbage.
Oh, Jesus. ETH has gone under 1,800.
Yeah.
Every single chart looks like the Bitcoin chart at the moment. There's no outliers in terms of the majors. I was going through, unless you're buying this, like
the money's on chain. Like, people are legit bored with what's going on with like these majors, because they're just fucking boring and like they have no narrative. And if there is a narrative behind one of these majors, it might be, I'm just going to use a random example here. Solana partners with Google, or Arbitrum partners with Amazon. Yeah, okay, cool, bro. Who gives a shit?
No.
It doesn't mean anything.
They don't do anything to assets anymore, though, do they? Them kind of things. They're fucking stupid. It seemed Polygon had announced something else yesterday with, I can't even remember who it was, but just fucking ridiculous.
Mate, I want to see more news like the Kampai Pandas partnering with UFC stars. Now that's something that is good fun. That's newsworthy stuff. Not like a big tech using some kind of like cloud computing or partnering with the latest computational shitcoin.
It never amounts to anything either.
We don't really see that. No, you're right.
But one of the best jobs in the world would be if you had an agency where you approached traditional fintech, cloud computing, IoT, AI companies and said, I can get you a shitload of this specific asset or a shitload of money just by signing a partnership deal with this stupid layer one blockchain. And whoever's kind of facilitating those deals is obviously making bank.
So are we actually having a business meeting now? Is this a strategy that we're going to employ in our offering?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to start selling and brokering partnerships with.
Cool. I like that idea. I could do that.
Obscure L1s that don't work.
There's quite a few of those actually. I'm quite an authority on all the ones that have done absolutely nothing for the last 2 years except laugh about, throw all this money around, which I don't know where they got from. It's like there's that saying that the greatest scam the devil ever pulled was that he convinced everyone that he didn't exist. Well, in this case, the greatest scam that crypto ever pulled on some L1s is that they do exist and they do nothing and people gave them money.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable stuff.
What's the side chart looking like?
I've got my own thoughts on this thing.
The what chart?
Like
the
SEI.
I thought I had it up, but obviously not.
What is this thing? Can you guys please give me some context in terms of, is this just another Aptos?
It's you know the report we did on Hyperliquid?
Yes.
It's probably as close to that as you're gonna get, if you understand. So like an L1 with its own native DEX and perps DEX on it.
Interesting. Okay. And who's going to use this? I genuinely wanted to know, but seeing as though you're laughing
oh my god!
I do apologize if I might be flooding anyone's bags, but who the hell is going to use this thing?
To be fair, good team. They've had like a really good run up over the last like 6 to 8 months. I know we've done like interviews with them before and spoken to them. So like behind the scenes team, what they've done, and the product does look cool, but in a time where there's like no money and there's too much option to do stuff, like launching things now, unless it's to actually test out the waters, kind of doesn't make sense. But wait, isn't that what Coinbase is doing? Yeah. So Coinbase is essentially positioning themselves to be like the most normie friendly like chain and ecosystem out there. Brian even publicly said, he was like, yeah, like, it's what we're doing now. You know, we realized there's been a lot of mistakes, and this is kind of like our testing ground. And I'm just like, bro, you are smart. You are making all the right moves at the right times with the right people. So when it comes to the battle of the baldies, like, Brian is so far ahead of CZ that I think Brian hands down wins this fight. CZ is great for the memes, but I think Coinbase and like their whole ecosystem, what they're building over the next like 8 months or 6 months or whatever it is leading into the Bitcoin halving, they position themselves super smart.
You know, Dan, you totally are echoing my thoughts around this, and why I asked the question around SEI is that in order for this environment, like especially like creating an ecosystem, you need to have a value proposition. Coinbase have a value proposition by the simple fact that they're just Coinbase. They have all these people sitting there, and you probably find like 80% or maybe even 90% of them haven't even looked at their Coinbase emails for the last fucking year. But it's irrelevant. The point is that there will come a time when those people will look at those emails again, because they will reactivate their accounts or relog into their accounts. And they will be presented to a path of zero resistance to go and play on chain. And what is Base doing right now? Base has been an absolute cluster of a whole lot of scams and a whole lot of stuff going on. But that's just the nature of permissionless spaces. You're going to get that. But it's just a matter of time before that momentum translates or transforms into legit protocols and ideas, and they'll be ready for it. And I personally think that Base, in light of your sentiment that you spoke about in our last stream, Dan, where you like, I'm bullish optimism because of the fact that we have an optimistic roll up that is Base, and it's just going to land up translating into that.
I'm bullish on the super chain, not specifically optimism.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. But you're right, dude. I mean, that's what it's actually all about. It's like, if you have the entire package that you can present to somebody and they can see what the package is, because a lot of the time you can't, a lot of people just don't see it. They're just like, why was Phantom so popular and so successful during the bull? Because everyone could see the value there. They could see it. It was like really nicely packaged, and you can see what the hell was going on. And in many ways, like someone like Arbitrum landed up copying, whether they were aware of it or not is not important, but they landed up copying the same idea that Phantom put forward, and we had an Avalanche. Obviously, Avalanche started it. Phantom, I think, did it better, and then Arbitrum came and just fucking perfected it.
Yeah, and I think Coinbase has learned a lot of lessons from a lot of the other layer twos, and I think they've taken one of the biggest, most fundamentally important lessons from Arbitrum. We all know why Arbitrum was successful, right? 100%, almost all of it, whether you want to take this with a pinch of salt, it was down to their A-grade level market commentary / Schiller. One of our good friends, Mr. Andrew Saunders. Could you put the whole success of a network down to one man? Probably, definitely, maybe. Now, what's really interesting, and I think Brian's taken some of the lessons that Andrew posted or Andrew showcased to the world, and Brian has been informing the public about different things that are going on within this whole on-chain summer. And I think he's doing it very well. Like, he obviously like can't shill NFTs or projects or whatever, but he can commentate on some of the things that are happening. And I think he's doing it extremely well in a very tasteful way that everybody can understand. And they've got normie-friendly partnerships as well. Like the fact that Coca-Cola's in, that's huge. Everybody knows, everybody loves a bit of Coke, right? Everybody enjoys it. So I think it's good.
No puns intended.
No, with Arbitrum as well, though, like, you've got to think that at the time there was only Arbitrum and Optimism that enabled people to go and port their code over from Ethereum and enable them to be in a completely EVM. What's the word? So effectively, the code written on any other EVM was completely translatable over to Arbitrum. Optimism, there was a few iterations that you had to make as a developer. So the developer tooling was great. The support network for developers was great. So if you build something and there's actually shit to do when you get over there, it's a lot easier. When you get to, like, if you bridge over to a chain, there's nothing to do and there's just a DEX. You're just like, what? I'm just sat here doing nothing. Capital's just idle when there's other opportunities elsewhere. And I also think GMX being over there so early, GMX where was the ARB token effectively, and there was obviously a very, very well played around that kind of speculation around the airdrop, but they've got a lot of work to do. I think CoinFlip from GMX has just recently posted a governance forum saying that with the Arbitrum DAO effectively be handed a complete fucking war chest. There doesn't need to be so many checks and balances to go and actually put the funds to use and actually develop and grow the ecosystem. It's like there's too much bureaucracy happening in the DAO, which is probably spanned from them being absolutely fucking up their first governance proposal. So he's kind of put this governance forum post out, kind of giving them a bit of a kick up the arse, because if they don't get the shit together, base is on the horizon now, and developers want users. They're probably sick and tired of the same 10 users using the fucking protocol. So if they don't get the shit together and move and have action, then they could quickly get left behind. No one thought Avalanche would be in the position it's in. It is during like 2021. Like, they had everything on a silver platter for them, but you can quickly use mindshare in the space like nobody's business. So yeah, I'd like to see Arbitrum get their shit together, and hopefully the DAO doesn't kind of come too bureaucratic and they can't actually move forward with their ecosystem, because that would just be a pain in the ass.
I think Arbitrum made a lot of mistakes, and the primary mistake and the core of it all is that DAO and the size of that DAO and the controlling share that it has in the Arbitrum token. I think that is going to come back and bite them in the arse repeatedly in the years to come.
No, I don't actually think it's going to bite them in the arse, because next March they've got one of the biggest unlocks ever. So if you're ever looking for like an exit and you were somebody who was part of the team, fuck it. But
there'll be a great update that comes around that at that time.
Yeah,
like, there'll be a lot of Freddles coming out then.
We're calling it once again. We are calling it. It's August now, and we're making a call for March next year. So if you're listening, make a note, put it in your calendar. They will release something really important close to that date, so that this thing can pump, so that you can be their exit liquidity. It's the way it goes. It goes like that every single time, and people fall for it every single time.
How much is unlocked? 212 days. Yeah, this isn't very clear. I wish it was, but anyway, I think just getting back to SEI, I think they've kind of been a victim of their own marketing success. But I think when you really go heavy on the marketing, it can be a complete double-edged sword, because you can attract the wrong user base, and you'll attract the wrong people who usually shout the loudest. And I think that's what's happened here. They've ran the kind of speculative airdrop marketing campaign that has attracted a shitload of users. I think there's a lot of bots on their socials as well. Like, no project's Twitter profile should have over 500,000 followers. I'm just going to put that out there. There aren't 500,000 fucking active users, particularly on a network that has a perp stacks. So yeah, you have to kind of be careful how you play that. There's a very, very fine line of how you can optimally use some kind of airdrop strategy to onboard new users. But what tends to happen when people are overpromised and underdelivered is they end up with like a shitty little amount in their wallet at the end of like putting a lot of effort in over an extended period of time, which is kind of how projects will use viral marketing. And then now what's going to happen is like the say scam is actually trending on Twitter, and it's just a bit like play with feathers, get your ass tickled a little bit. So I'd rather release a product, release a good product, let the right kind of people commentate on it, allow people to actually use it, and then if they're actually putting decent volume through it, then maybe to have a retroactive airdrop, similar to how Vertex have done it. I think they've played it extremely well. But yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of negative connotation around say after this, I think. But I like the team, but I think they could have handled this an awful lot better, in my opinion.
Just coming back to, I mean, I think just from a degen high risk bunch of players, I mean, I don't think this is no longer a high risk player. I think the line has been drawn in the sand for the whole bot narrative. I mean, we've seen, the amount of copium that I'm currently sucking on regarding this one here. I don't think I'm ever going to get over it because it's been an interesting one for me. But it's the line's drawn in the sand. We've seen this thing completely kill it. There's a couple of others that are currently on the mix. Obviously, we've been working with the Nolo guys, part of the Hero crew. As for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, the Hero guys have sponsored us and our podcasts and stuff for a very long time. They're good mates of ours. We believe that they have a fantastic network on Solana. Interesting thing about Nolo, even though this chart is on Ethereum, this is a perps Discord bot. You can basically /bet long, short on a whole lot of pairs. We've got it running in our Discord. Our Discord is now open if you want to come and visit and come and check it out. But what makes Nolo really interesting is not necessarily just the bot itself and what it can do, but its ability to basically create revenue for Discord server owners and people who refer the Discord bots to Discord servers. So the numbers are really compelling. I mean, I think if you do $1 billion turnover, obviously it's a lot. Obviously, I'm giving you a best case scenario here, but if you do $1 billion in notional, so guys who lever up, that is considered to be the total. If you do $1 billion, it's $440,000 a month shared between two parties. So if you referred the server, you get 220K and the server owner gets 220K. So for anyone out there who's actually into sales and you're looking to do stuff in freaking Web3, I think that's a really good job opportunity, and you are your own boss. It's like, really, it's a no-brainer, really. So I think Nolo, really cool project, great team. I mean, we've obviously seen them deliver over the last few months, and they always deliver. These guys are great. I like Nolo, not just because we have interest with Hero. I like it because there's $1 million in liquidity here for an 8.7 mil market cap coin. That's like quite a good percentage. This thing ain't going anywhere, and I think this is a great project. Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. And then you've got others as well. Yeah.
If these are narratives now, can you imagine what they're going to be like when more money starts to come into crypto? Because not only are we seeing the trend towards obviously like Telegram bots and Discord bots, but oh Christ, I've lost my train of thought because my dog's just jumped on them. Pringles, say hello. Yep, you're about to eat a very expensive laptop. There you go. Yep. Yeah, I think narratives like this, and we said in like a previous stream, whoever creates the Robin Hood effect with these bots is gonna reign supreme, because Robin Hood, obviously with GME and AMC, controlled the last bull run, and whoever can do that in crypto, I think it's gonna have a massive win and a very fruitful. Jesus Christ! Right, I'm gonna put my dog in the cage. 1 sec.
Yeah, I think what's also interesting about what Hero are doing at the moment is that they are building a sustainable ecosystem of protocols that essentially support each other. So what's interesting about Nolo and the the network that's being used, obviously the Hero network, and in terms of, I think, the order book that's being managed by Flowmatic, which is another Hero protocol that will be coming on stream in terms of the public eye, but at the moment I think they're pretty much in beta, and they're a perp stakes on Solana, and they're basically managing the order book on the back of this. And obviously Hero's got PepperDex coming up, and then there's a whole lot of others that are on the agenda. So, just coming back to, like the whole Solana thing where people like to dunk on Solana, you do so at your own peril, in my opinion. It's like, the one thing that we do at Blockmates is that we like to keep an open mind. We're not maxis across chains. We believe that chains have their part to play, some better than others. There can't be a one-stop shop. I just don't see that as being a possibility. And by all means, you're very welcome to argue that fact with me. Notice I called it a fact. So you're very welcome to try and convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of gambling and gaming crossover come to fruition as well. This Prime's caught a really good bid recently. That's up like 2x in the last couple of days. So that looks good.
Yamji from the pit, mate, he has been bullish on that since it was like peanuts.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm going to keep a close eye on that.
The pit will always be like this constant source of like ridiculousness. It's just, I don't know, that place. For any of you who don't know, the pit is actually a channel in the Hero Network Discord. Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us have seen the benefits of being in that channel. I mean, obviously, we love our Discord, but the pit is just an exceptional place, man.
Yeah, there's DMTs catching a bit as well, up 25%, 27%.
So didn't they announce they're going to Ethereum yesterday?
Yeah, they're on Ethereum now. Some weird kind of funky price action here, but
so what happened was
I think these guys are cooking.
They are cooking. So what happened was NFT Shark, one of our contributors and writers who does NFT stuff, he actually made a post on Twitter. I think it was late last night or maybe this morning, Euro time, and he said announcement for DMT for Ethereum, and the price spiked, and then it had a major sell-off, and then it looks like people are piling back into it. So it's interesting how Arbitrum is just not really doing it at the moment. I mean, obviously we chatted about L2s and the rest of it, but it just doesn't seem like people are that interested in playing on Arbitrum at the moment. I mean, Base is cooking. There's some really interesting casino gambling projects coming up on Base, and they're not scams. Surprisingly, I was shocked to stumble on a couple. Let's see how they do. I mean, it's still early days, but yeah, Arbitrum just doesn't seem to be a flavor. I mean, I think there was one that was doing particularly well, and you joked about it, Grant, and that's HMX. Sticks.
Yeah, I think this will keep going. Obviously, it's had a couple of big sell-offs there, but I interviewed Coinflip from GMX last night on GMX V2, and GMX V2 is completely moving away from any. Well, it's all obviously down to how the DAO structures it, but GLP looks like it'll probably be sunset. Liquidity providers will then just deposit into single GM pools. So effectively, when you deposit it in GLP, you'd be exposed to Bitcoin, ETH. What else was on that? Uni, Link, a couple of stable coins. Might be one or two more assets in there as well. But with GMX V2, you've got like Solana perps, Doge perps, Litecoin perps, XRP perps. So there's a load of other assets, and you could, if it went to governance, you could actually list more longer tail assets there as well. But it isolates the risk for liquidity providers. So if you want it to only provide liquidity for Ethereum perps or Doge perps or whatever, you don't have to have exposure to the other assets in the underlying there. So, but I think that some people might still want to continue with the whole GLP model, and it looks like HMX, which is hilarious because H comes after G, hence the name HMX. I think they're just going to try and like pick up and run with like the legacy version of GMX. So, but I think this could potentially just keep moving. Their volume's been really, really good. And yeah, it's, you know, there's not a lot on, so
Yeah.
people are willing to bet on things like this. And it's only just been released. Looks
I
positive.
think we lost Grant. Are you back? Yeah. Did you also lose Grant there?
Oh, I thought that was me that went, but no.
No, it was Grant. It's fine. So in terms of like base itself, have you guys gone and played on base yet?
The only thing I've done on, well, I did actually buy some shit on base, and then 2 of them got rogued overnight. So,
That sucks. Okay.
but the only thing primarily that I'm interested at the minute is Friend Tech. It's like a social app where you buy into people's shares by connecting to Twitter via API. And I think Racer, who people might know from Twitter, has started it, and it's started to, like, Coinbase are tweeting about it and shit. So I don't think it's just a flash in the pan kind of thing. It looks a mixture between BitClout and OnlyFans for CT nerds.
And OnlyFans. Dude, if it's got any connotation to OnlyFans, I'm in.
I'm in.
But you could buy shares in, like, you could buy Kobe shares, and then you'd be allowed to kind of message him, if that makes sense.
Oh
And
my god,
we've
how
got this-
creepy is that?
Yeah. But yeah, we've got a Blockmates account on there. We're doing all right. Shareholder value and shareholder buybacks coming soon. There will be a board meeting at Blockmates Incorporated.
It's hysterical.
But yeah, it's pretty good. People should give it a go. But yeah, other than that, it just seems like there will be one, so it's worth keeping an eye on. But there will be one that really nails it, and it's probably not worth buying into a DEX, in my opinion, until Aerodrome deploys fully over there, which is I think it's probably the same team as Velodrome, but they're doling it up in a way in which they're just deploying Velodrome on base. So be interesting to see how they actually managed to maintain user retention and stickiness via emissions if there is no OP incentives, because there is obviously no Coinbase incentives unless they're going to start paying people in CBE for some shit. But you know, I'd probably just wait for that to happen if you're going to ape into any DEX. Jerry, on mute.
Been paying attention to this whole gamble farm thing. There's nice micro cap, probably like extreme high risk, but I'll tell you why I got involved in this thing. I heard about it. The guys launched it, and the dev who was busy with it, he's probably got some kind of a habit, landed up setting the tax on it at 100%, like on renouncing the contract. And they basically relaunched, they re-airdropped everyone. I was like, what? They actually refunded everyone? That's unheard of in this space. And then I bought in. It's called Fortune XYZ. I think it's at $1 million market cap.
This one, Fortune Bets.
No, that's the rug. That was their rug.
What's the ticker?
It's Fortune. That was the one. It was one below the rug. You were on it.
Oh yeah, didn't Rocket Swap get exploited?
So Rocket Swap got exploited, but I think it was on their pools.
All right.
I think it was 850 grand. I mean, it's just like another day in crypto, dude. Like, insane. Anyway, so this thing's been holding out pretty cool. You know, it's like high risk play for anyone who wants to get potentially their hands burnt. This is not financial advice. It will probably go to zero, but I thought I'd find something that was worth playing on base. Let's see how it plays out.
You know what's mad? Looking back, Iconic Markets was so far ahead of the curve, and now we've got all these other betting platforms, and it's really interesting to see that. You know, when we went to even like to Solana Breakpoint, a lot of like the betting products that were there were on the right lines, but they were lacking something. And looking back, the thing that they were missing, and it's always the way, right? The thing they were missing was degenerates. Like they were trying to target normies because they think normies are going to come on chain and start betting. No, they're not. Like they're going to go to Paddy Power. They're going to go down the local bookies, right? You know, they're not going to come on chain and do like all this like USDC malarkey. So it's really good that these, you know, you could say like things like Fortune or like Iconic Markets or whatever. We're targeting the right people.
I mean, I'd use crypto betting, 100%.
Yes, I would.
I mean, markets aren't going to be as efficient, but it's just way easier for me.
Well, yeah, I think
I've got 1 minute, and I've got a meeting. So, do you continue?
Look, there's our boy 563 DeFi on Let Loose with Moose. Shout out to those boys, legends.
Look at this. This is hours of relaxing dog music, which I have to put on whilst I go out.
Does it work?
Does it fuck?
Of course it doesn't.
Your 16th pair of AirPods disagrees. Fuck.
All right, I'm gonna have to wrap up. But are you continuing or we done?
Cool, Grant. Yeah, we will. We'll continue and
we'll
have a good one. Thanks for being our guest today, Grant. It's really good to see you, brother.
Very welcome. I'll send my invoice.
Thanks, mate.
Legend.
So, Legend is gone off to another meeting. To all of you who are listening on Spotify or on Pod, I think the next 48 hours are going to be really interesting in terms of the direction that crypto takes. I mean, I think last night we had the start of, like obviously quite a big sell-off. On-chain seems to be recovering really quickly, but we all know that can change really quickly as well. I mean, Unibot, I'm just looking at a couple of charts here. Unibot,
do you want to pull the charts up? You got them going?
Yeah, I will now. So I think like Unibot definitely, just looking for the tab here, if I can find it, of course. They all did. Everything sold off. It was the weirdest thing. And I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, like, whether the sustainability of what's happening on chain is going to continue, or whether we're going to land up being in a situation where, it's just going to ping pong, because that's the worst for on chain, right? Because you're obviously paying a lot more fees. I mean, what do you think plays out, Dan? Before I bring this stuff up.
On-chain will always be sustainable because it's where trading is moving to. It will just be rotations. And I think what we saw in like the recent you could call it like mini bull run or whatever, the speed of rotation was, unless you were insider or you were focusing on one specific area, you were always going to miss it, or you were always going to go get wrecked, because if you're consistently chasing the current rotation, it's just a one-way ticket for like Goblin Town. On-chain, like I say, on-chain always recovers, but it will just recover in a different place, which is why Arbitrum is wrecked. And to be fair, it's still wrecked, right? The narrative isn't Arbitrum. Will Arbitrum do well in the bull run? Maybe not. Will it be a top 10 coin? Maybe not. Kind of like irrelevant at the moment because the flavor's Base. But what Base has compared to any other layer 2 is it has a powerhouse, probably, I'm going to say it's lightly, soon to be government approved powerhouse, right? Like if Coinbase win against the SEC, sorry, excuse the French there, If Coinbase win against the SEC, that's massive news. That is massive thumbs up for all of the retail that might be coming. It's a massive thumbs up for the degenerates like you and I who may or may not have a Coinbase account. It's just, it's going to be the flavor. You want an Ethereum killer? It wasn't going to be Solana. It wasn't going to be Arbitrum. It wasn't going to be any of these other ones. Will it be Base? Probably not. But will they give it a good run for their money? Probably.
I like that. I think you are speaking to exactly what's going on at the moment. I just want to go through just some charts I'm looking at. Obviously, Nolo.
To the person who is that green candle there on Nola, we know who you are.
We know who you are.
No, the little one, the teeny little one at the bottom of the red dot. We know who you are.
We know who you are.
We know you're in Discord, bro.
We know you.
We've seen your bags, bro. I've been lurking. I've been sleuthing. We know who you are, bro.
So I want to chat about Lybra. Like, Lybra is a really interesting one because LSD finance, there's been huge conversations around LSD. I mean, Lido is probably one of the most successful protocols right now in the LSD space. For all of you who don't know, LSDs are essentially staked ETH, and then you're using the staked ETH as collateral to do a whole lot of really cool stuff in the DeFi space. That's just very simple kind of breakdown on what it is. We can get into the academics of it, but now's not the time. But Lybra is an interesting one because I think they've got like 350 million in TVL. One could argue that one of the reasons why is because they've been so willing to give away the emissions, which they're now changing in version 2. Version 2 is essentially going to batten down the hatches on emissions, and they're changing the whole model. We've written about it quite extensively, but the point that I wanted to make is that this chart is probably one of the most interesting charts in DeFi at the moment. It's gone through potentially now its third cycle in a space of from June the 3rd to August the 17th. We have essentially seen potentially going into the third market cycle of this thing. Why? Emissions obviously didn't help it. And because there's been so much capital coming in here, the sell pressure on this thing has just been extraordinary. I mean, you must go and watch the price action on this thing. And I know that a lot of DeFi and a lot of on-chain stuff, there's a lot of a lot of washing goes on and the rest of it. But I've watched the price action on this thing, and it's all legit. Like, these are proper wallets, proper players, whales coming in. But Lybra persists. Lybra continues to do really well. And Lybra has a really good value proposition in terms of recognizing their problems and fixing them. And I think version 2 is currently in play for the end of the month. And I think that this thing should do really well. I mean, I could be completely wrong here. I accept that. But I think these guys have got their house in order, and they really are actioning, their audits. They've done their audits, really been good on that. And this thing just sees consistently $2.5 to $5 million of volume every day. It's insane. It's really one of the most interesting DeFi coins at the moment. Anyways, going on to Bag. I don't know if you want to comment on Lybra, Dan.
The other thing I was going to say is if you maybe go onto the daily, so it's not quite so. Yeah, and I don't know how you do it on Dex Screener, but I can see somewhere down there in that first little W to the left is where we posted. I'm not going to say we did this, but we posted our first article on that little teeny weeny, that little green candle down there. You see that? I think it's the 8th one in on the left or something. Down. Yeah, these little green candles here. I think we posted our first article about there. Now, I'm not saying we created the first Lybra bull run, but we could have done. But no, I think, so when I was talking to the team about version 2 and their PE USD, if they can pull off what they're saying, this in a few months' time could potentially be a very big play. And if they can actually get the institutes and the outside world to take note of it and to start utilizing the two different coins, I think that's going to set them up to be a massive winner. And could Lybra overtake Lido? Maybe. If they get the right players in, probably. Will it happen soon? Probably not. But the fact that this team has consistently delivered throughout, what shocked me, mate, was when you said it was from June the 3rd. I was like, June, July, August. They've gone through 3 cycles in literally about between 10 and 12 weeks. They've gone from V1 to V2. They've had huge whales aping, and they've got over 300 million in TVL. Like, the fact that there is just you, me, Grant, a few apes, and some guys in the pit still here, like, that is an astronomical amount of money when you really do think about it.
Yeah, I think also just an interesting thing is that there were a whole lot of really heavy VC-backed funds that did copies and forks of very similar protocols like this, who actually went guns blazing, flooding Lybra when they launched. And when it was just going straight up, and obviously the sell-off was the result of that. I don't know what happened to those LSD projects, but no one's heard anything from them since.
The VCs probably bought the bottom of this.
Maybe. Anyway, so this is an interesting one. I like Lybra. I think Lybra, long term is definitely something that's, I'm involved in terms of I've got bags. Good play this. Speaking of bags, we've got Bag. I don't know enough about this protocol. Just started looking at it at the moment, but on the side here, it's an AI-powered, fully autonomous and decentralized live mentions and rating bot. So basically it looks at social media, and it basically assesses where potential movement could be based on what KLs are posting and the rest of it. I think it's a great idea. I think there's a couple of guys that have tried to do this, but it seems like these guys really, based on their support, based on the fact that sitting at a 20 million market cap, they probably have something there. I've never used it. Obviously, like I said, I've just started. We know about Unibot. Guys who have used Unibot, I haven't used it yet. And I'm ashamed to say that, because guys who play this market and play it on chain are saying you will never use Uniswap again once you've used Unibot. So that's what they're saying. That's the general consensus. Might be worth going and taking it for a spin. I just don't like the Telegram aspect of it. I would really like to see, and I believe there is something in the works where it removes Telegram and you can basically interact directly with the dashboard. That, if they do that and they do it properly, I'll be in. I'll definitely be in there. But that's obviously a user preference. OLS, I don't know enough about it, but one of the guys, Jerry C, one of the DeFi guys who makes really good calls on Discord. OLAS. Very bullish on this, but it's a 213 million market cap. If you're looking for, kind of like short-term moves and gains, I think this would be a good play. It's a 213. You can't really expect 2x or 3x in a hurry. This is a big play. But I just wanted to bring it up. I was just interested in light of the fact that guys were chatting about it, and it's been Coco, 5.7 million market cap. I actually think this might be an interesting play. Chart's been holding up since yesterday. We had, obviously, if you look at the hourly, you look at this section here, it actually did really well considering how everything else dumped. It didn't dump much at all. It's almost like it's getting a little bit of a hangover from yesterday today. But I think this thing might do really well. I'm considering getting involved in this one. Interesting price action. Obviously, there's a lot of guys who got in earlier who are, you can see from like even the 4 hourly, you can see there's a lot of movement with guys coming in and out on those wicks. HMX, as Grant said, this could be something that could do quite well. It's only on an 18 million market cap. And the chart's looking good. I mean, it's like even with yesterday's sell-off, I think it's a good looking chart. Bitcoin faded it, regretting it. This, in my opinion, could very easily flip Pepe. Very easily. I faded it from day one. I don't think I'll ever get involved just because it's at 164 million market cap. Yeah, it just feels like it's gone too far for me. But I think if there's anyone who can contend for the title of taking out Pepe, it's this. Got a great community. Grant has spoken about the community and their merchandise and just their whole attitude. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, the name of this ticker is Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu. I mean, come on. How can you fade that? Well, I did. Fortune, obviously, this player that I've got going on base, just for fun. And then Rollbit, the big one. What I find really interesting about Rollbit is not just because it's at a 500 million market cap, but you've got funds that are actually buying into this thing at the moment.
Interesting. Who?
Yeah, so there's an Australian hedge fund that's currently holding $1 million plus bag. Crypto Condom was actually chatting about it in Discord the other day. Obviously, she was pumping her bags, which is great for her, but she's got the data to support that purchase. And apparently, there were a couple of other reliable sources in Discord that were saying that there are a couple of funds that are involved in this thing and that are buying in. There's talk of potential Binance listing. I think there is a little bit of maybe a dark cloud around Rollbit in terms of how much of their whole operation is legit. I don't know enough. I'm just kind of like hearsay. There's a lot of guys out there that aren't convinced. But based on price action, based on market cap, this thing is cooking. It's like it just, I think, puts into context what Grant was chatting about earlier on around how GambleFi and all of that kind of stuff is coming to a head and how capital is moving in that direction. I also faded this one, by the way.
Yeah. You know what we haven't spoken about? OPBNB, because it stealth launched yesterday.
What is that? I didn't actually get connected. Just before we get onto that, another one that's interesting is a competitor potentially to Nolo. Also, Perps Discord, 14.2 million market cap. But I must say, the price action on this thing, I think there's a bit of funky business going on here. Not convinced that it's all legit. There's a lot of interesting price action here that is a bit shifty for me. But once again, that's my opinion. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I'm just merely speculating. Mm-hmm. Is there a chart for what it is that you've just brought up?
No, because OPBNB is BNB's essentially like layer 2, or BSC's layer 2.
I didn't actually know that was happening. Oh my goodness! I need to actually keep
launched yesterday. And I'm just reading a tweet from Sandra from Nansen, who was saying there's been 22.2 for CZ4 they post, and then 0101. So it's going to be interesting to see if and how there will be an OPBNB narrative. And if there is, how far it will go. Because all eyes on base.
Yes.
Will we get a BSC season number 2? But on OPBNB, no. But that's something to research on your watch lists, ladies and gentlemen.
And on that note, thank you for that bit of alpha. I didn't actually even know that was happening. It's like, thanks for letting me know, sir. Obviously, Dan covers that stuff in the newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, it will be in the description below. Just, Substack, blocmates.substack.com. Please like and subscribe. It's appreciated. It keeps us going, keeps us motivated. We don't get to appreciate you guys in any other way unless you like and subscribe. So please do so. Lots happening at the moment, even though we are in the middle of a bear. On-chain's cooking at the moment, as you saw on those charts. There's volumes coming in. Sure, it's not a lot in relation to what people are used to on central exchanges, but just take note on Twitter when you're out there. The people who are complaining about volumes and volatility are the ones who are trading on central exchanges. So if you are trading on central exchanges, then might as well take a holiday and go away and switch off your computers. But if you want to actually make money, there's stuff happening on chain, and you can make money. Obviously, it's high risk play, bit of Russian roulette here and there, a couple of rugs, but we all know what the DeFi space is about. So, and if you don't, know that you will get rugged, know that things will go pear. It's just the nature of the beast.
And on that bombshell,
We're done. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.